Hello. Good afternoon. I've been speaking with the mask on now, and I don't know how close to lean, and we'll give it a try here and see how it goes this time. Welcome, everybody. I'd like to call this meeting of the Executive Committee to order. I have taken roll call, and we have everyone present except for Ms. Metzger, and she should be on her way. She picked up her packet, and Member Erickson, and I want to welcome our new member, Johnson. Is he? Welcome for joining us. And we'll get started here in a minute. I need approval of the minutes of February 7th, 2022. Motion by Member Martin. Is there a second? Second by Member Barnett. Comments or questions? Any additions or corrections? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye. And opposed? Okay, we got the minutes approved. We didn't have anybody from the public that applied to appear today, so item 3 you can scratch off. Departmental Matters Executive Committee. In front of you, you have appointments and reappointments, and that's what I have for you, and I'll also move. Is there a second? Second by Member Solner. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye. And opposed? That motion has passed. You might notice that there is the Behavioral Health Coordinating Council report in front of you on pages 6 to 23. Oh, I'm sorry. Do we have a? Oh, we do have an action item. I'm sorry. Item C, Information Technologies request approval to purchase a Nimble HF20 storage array. It's on page 5. Is there a motion to approve? Motion by Member Johnston. Is there a second? Second by Member Martin. Any comments or questions about that? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Motion is passed. Now I'll go on to the items before you from Executive Committee appointments and reappointments. Any comments or questions? Okay. Motion to approve? Did I do that? Okay, so we're all set. Ooh. I'm sorry, I jumped ahead to the Behavioral Health Coordinating Council report, page 6 through 23. Any comments? We'll have Behavioral Health Coordinating Council meeting at 7:30 a.m. here on Friday. Miss Vanessa Belcher is here. Granger Belcher is here. Does anyone have any questions for her at this time? Okay, thank you. We'll move on then. We have a new candidate application. I'd like to welcome Mr. Matthew Coates. And Matthew, you may come up and take a seat. And as we've talked, all new applicants fulfill vacancies on this board can appear before Executive Committee. You have 5 minutes to present to it. The bottom right-hand square on this is the for the voice. Thank you.
Okay. First and foremost, thank you. It is to Chairman McIntyre and to the Executive Committee. It is an honor and a privilege to be considered for this vacancy. So, first off, thank you. So I'm Matt Coates. I'm originally from Peoria, Illinois, and I born and raised there. And since I was a child, my upbringing consisted of watching my parents help people, in various different ways. We were a pretty tight-knit community in my neighborhood growing up, and that's something that just, that apple doesn't usually fall too far. So I took an interest in helping my neighbors out, whether it be shoveling a driveway of our neighbors next door, or helping play with their kids, or things like that. And so it a privilege growing up in Peoria. Moving on past that, I graduated from Richwoods High School, and then from there I went to Illinois Central College. And upon earning my associate's degree, I became a transfer student at Illinois State University back in 2008. And that's where a lot of things changed for me. I always tell people two things happened during my time at ISU. I fell in love in two areas. I fell in love with my wife while I was here. I met her. And also, I just fell in love with the community and the people that make up McLean County. The reason for that is I had the rare privilege in becoming a student athlete. And so, a short story on that. When I started as a transfer student back in 2008, I had the pleasure of becoming a practice player for the men's basketball team. Upon doing that, shortly after, a couple months after, I became an official member of the team. And so at that point, being an official member of the team, especially for 3 years at Illinois State University, we just had a lot of community engagement activities, and where I got to go into the community and volunteer and talk to people from different industries, and there were a lot of different fans that I came in contact with, and ultimately that's where my love for McLean County and the Twin Cities grew. And so, following that, after graduating with a communications degree from ISU, I knew kind of what my mission was in life at that point, and it really was two core missions that have really driven my personal life and my professional life. And that is, number one is I've always striven since that time is to just improve the lives of other people. That's always been my core mission, as well as to make a positive difference in my community. And so, though with those two missions, that has really guided what you see on paper. When it comes to my resume or any boards that I've been a part of, my goal has always been to serve and to make our community a little bit better and to make lives a little bit easier for everyone in our community. And so, um, yeah, that is also my reason for applying for this appointment is to continue that commitment. I look for opportunities to serve our community, and when I started looking at opportunities over a year ago, I applied to be in the Leadership McLean County program put on by the Chamber of Commerce, and that is where a whole new world opened up for me. When I was a student at ISU, you get to meet a lot of different people, but you don't get to see all the aspects of the community and how government functions and things like that. And so, with Leadership McLean County, that's where I got a deep dive into all things McLean County, how our county government operates. One of the biggest pleasures about going through that process and being part of that class was I got to meet a lot of different people in that class that work in different industries and just have very different perspectives. And that is something that I've always sought out is learning from people who have just a very different experience in professional career and perspective than me. And so we just had some really great conversations within that class. And upon ending that, I was, looking for opportunities where I can continue to serve and continue in that commitment. And so that's one of the reasons why I applied for this vacancy. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Coates. Does anyone have any questions? You are currently with District 87?
I am now, yes.
That's what I thought, in communications, right?
Say that again?
In communications?
Yes, as communications director.
Thank you.
Yep.
Anyone else have anything? Okay, thank you very much, and I'll be talking to you pretty soon.
Thank you so much.
Okay, let's go ahead to the report of the Finance Committee, Chairman Metzger.
Thank you, Chairman McIntyre. The Finance Committee has several items. They're all ordinance, budget ordinances. And so that would be 4B1A, and that's request approval of an ordinance of McLean County Board amending 2021 combined annual appropriations ordinance. And that's found on page 30, and I so move.
Motion by Chairman Metzger. Is there a second? Second by Member Schaefer. Comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And opposed? Motion's carried.
Moving on, we have 4B1B, request approval of an ordinance of McLean County Board amending 2022 combined annual budget and appropriation ordinance found on page 31, and I so move.
A motion by Chairman Metzger, second. Second by Member Martin. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And opposed? Motion's carried.
And then our last one is 4B1C, and that's request approval of an emergency appropriation ordinance amending the McLean County fiscal year 2021 combined annual appropriation budget ordinance for the treasurer and the county clerk's departments. And those are found on page 32 and 34, and I so move.
Motion by Chairman Metzger. Is there a second? Second by Member Barnett. Comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye. And opposed? Motion is carried.
We have no other items and no items to be presented at the board at this time.
Okay,
you.
thank you. We'll go on to item C, Health Committee Report. Chairman Schaefer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Health Committee has 3 items for action today. C1A is request approval of an ordinance of the McLean County Board amending the 2022 combined appropriation and budget ordinance for Fund 107, and I so move.
Motion by Chairman Schaefer, second by Member Metzger. Comments or questions? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And opposed. Motion's carried.
If the committee doesn't mind, I would like to combine B and C together because they're both end of the year cleanup.
Is there any
Thanks.
objection? You may proceed.
Thank you. C1B is request approval and emergency appropriation ordinance amending the McLean County fiscal year 2021 combined annual appropriation and budget ordinance for Fund 110. And C1C is request approval of emergency appropriation ordinance amending McLean County fiscal year 2021 combined annual appropriation and budget ordinance for Fund 107, and I so move.
Motion by Chairman Schaefer, second by Member Martin. Comments or questions? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And opposed. Motion has carried.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go on to the Justice Committee report. What do we have here? Anybody?
I don't know,
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
thank you,
Member
Mr.
Wynn.
Chairman. Yes, I'm representing Chairman Erickson today. He's out of town.
Thank you.
We have one item to present, and that is 1A, request approval of an emergency appropriation ordinance amending the McLean County fiscal year 2021 combined annual appropriation and budget ordinance for the Sheriff's Department, and I so move.
Motion by Vice Chairman Went, second by Member Schaefer. Comments or questions? Hearing none. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And opposed.
And that's all we
Motion
have,
carried.
Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you. We'll go on to the report of the Property Committee. Chairman Barnett.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Property has no items tonight. We'll have some items for the board on Thursday evening, but I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll go on to item F, Land Use and Transportation Committee. Chairman Solder.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Land Use and Transportation has 4 items, and they all deal with the show bus. With your permission, I'd like to include F1A and F1B together. The motion is to request approval of the Illinois Department of Transportation fiscal year 2023, section 5311, formula application for rural areas operating assistance. And the other one is request approval of IDOT fiscal year 2023 downstate operating assistance program application for rural areas. Again, if you noticed in your packet, they were pretty large documents.
Yeah. Is there any objection to combine them? Okay, go ahead.
And again, in your packet, the first 2 items are, a continual practice of allowing us to apply for grants or whatever. So I make a motion for those first 2.
Okay, motion by Chairman Solner, second by Member Johnston. Comments or questions? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And opposed. Motion's carried.
Next item is F1C, request approval of a purchase and service agreement between McLean County, the show bus for rural public transportation in fiscal year 2023. And again, it's our annual purchase agreement, and I would make that motion.
Motion for F1C by Chairman Solner. Is there a second? Second by Member Johnston. Comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And opposed. Motion's carried.
Lastly, F1D, request approval of a revised vehicle leases agreement between McLean County and Show Bus, and I so move.
Motion by Chairman Solner. Is there a second? Second by Member Metzger. Comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye. And opposed. Motion is carried.
There will be a number of items to present to the board. Among them are resolutions that allow us to lock in price for materials for the year. We were able to get those in before the increase in oil prices, so that's a good thing. Along with some other projects and then some items through the former Land Use and Development Committee and with the Ecology Action Center. And I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you, sir. We'll go on to the report of our county administrator, Ms. Cassie Taylor.
Thank you, Chairman McIntyre. I have Three items to be presented for action. The first, 4G1A. You have seen several months before. This is a continued request for approval of a resolution of the McLean County Board continuing the declaration of a disaster related to COVID.
Is there a motion? Motion by Member Barnett. Is there a second? Anyone? Second by Member Johnston. Any comments or questions? We must be going on, what, 24 months now? I think we declared that about February.
Yep.
That's right. Any comments?
I
Member Went?
don't understand the reason that we need to do that anymore because I think the emergency's over, so I'm gonna vote no.
I think there's still some lasting paperwork for FEMA reimbursements and things we have and other types of federal reimbursement funds. Am I correct on that?
That is correct.
Of course, we have to keep this going, what, to satisfy the federal government and the
Yeah.
FEMA requirements.
As per requirements for reimbursement in certain applications for reimbursement through IEMA and FEMA, a declaration of disaster has to be present to meet all of the requirements. And so until we are certain we have received all the requests for reimbursement in relationship to this disaster, we will keep requesting that we stay in the state of
And how long is this
declaration.
gonna go on? Do we have any idea how long it's gonna go on?
I do not.
Hmm?
I do not.
All right.
Anyone else? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And opposed? The motion's carried. You have the floor.
Thank you, Chairman. The next item is 4G1B, a request for approval of an emergency appropriation ordinance amending the McLean County fiscal year 2021 combined annual appropriation and budget ordinance. That's found on page 74. And that is a response to allowing funds out of the American Rescue Plan Fund to provide essential work. And this is, oh, I see. This is a cleanup in relationship to that premium pay expense.
Okay, is there a motion to approve? Motion by Member Metzger, second by Member Johnston. Comments or questions? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And opposed? Motion is carried.
Thank you, sir. I got myself a little confused on my request for emergency appropriation. So 4G1C is my last request, and that is a request for an emergency appropriation ordinance amending the McLean County fiscal year 2022 combined annual appropriation and budget ordinance. That's found on page 77. And this is in relation to a request for ARPA funds from our McLean County Mayors Association. We have several of the mayors present with us tonight. They have put together a plan which was received by county administration in January, and that would allow for significant broadening of eligible infrastructure projects to address water and sewer investments in our smaller communities. And so you have those plans before you. Those have been
Yeah,
passed out
that's
ahead
it.
of time. We did have
Yeah.
a couple of extra requests that came in after your proposal that was included with the Mayor's Association. So I would like to note that my ARPA request is up to $5 million of ARPA funding for this project.
Right, is there a motion to approve? Motion by Member Barnett, second by Member Martin. Any comments or questions? Yes, Member Johnson?
Thank you. Just wanted to clarify, this is for additional funds, or is this from our
No.
current?
This is from our current allotment. We're working on the second half of it now.
Okay,
And so my comment would be, the rural population is about 25% of our county. And so these are all water projects.
right.
Many of them are repairs or, other types of projects that have been turned in. You've seen them. We did have two additional ones. Our county administrator had the foresight to add a little extra in there so hopefully we could cover them up to that amount. And then we're going to have to stop right there. So what we're approving is the $5 million amount.
Right, and so this is And this is what we have been using funds for, is to do
Yes.
infrastructure projects. That's what it was
Yes.
designed for. So very happy to support this and make sure that we can mitigate any flooding that's happening in the
Yes.
future and make sure to clean that up for the, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Member Metzger?
We have a number of mayors here, and I think it would be, since they've spent the time to come, if they could, each one of them give us a very short presentation or a idea of what their project is, because it's not just flooding, it is a lot of water projects. So I think if you wouldn't mind, could we possibly have the mayors each to provide a
Well,
a
sure.
very short presentation or a 3-minute explanation as to the project that they
I
submitted?
think we have most of the mayors here with some projects presented. So if I would start out saying that, yes, Ms. Taylor and I met with 4 or 5 of the mayors up in Lexington, Mayor Johansson's office earlier, and they were asking what the possibilities would be. They surveyed the mayors in the county and were accumulating possible requests. And so at this time, I'd ask Mr. Spencer Johansson to come up, and maybe you could lead off and give us a little bit of a synopsis. You do all have the packet of information presented to you. And then there were 2 additional requests. You should have had one from Ellsworth and one from Danvers. And you should have got that, received it today. Everyone get that? Okay, welcome. Mayor
Thank you
Johansson.
for having me. My name's Spencer Johansson. I'm mayor of Lexington. I'm also chairman of the McLean County Mayors Association. And the problem that a lot of these smaller communities are having are the infrastructure cost of maintaining our towns. I'll throw out an example for Lexington. We have to do some maintenance on the inside of our tower. We're required by state law to have our towers inspected every 5 years. We had ours inspected, and ours is the tune of $450,000 just for the inside. Now, that's stuff you don't see when you drive by or when you approach the town. You don't see that, what's going on the inside. And I think I provided you guys with a copy of our inspection report and the cost of it. Some of these towns have struggle to pay for those costs. Not only the cost of the work being done, but the engineering fees are eating us up. So that's why we kind of got together and tried to come up with a plan that we could work together and help out some of these smaller communities. I think if we work together, the more these small communities grow, the better the economy is for McLean County. It's better for everybody. And I appreciate the time you guys have given us. I think you need to hear from some of these other towns that's been struggling and trying to figure out how to pay for these costs. And I just appreciate that you guys listen to us.
Can I answer a question? Yeah, I was just wondering if you just briefly inform the board on how a little bit about the Mayor's Association, because I'm not sure everyone
Okay,
understands how that
I'm
works.
sorry. The Mayor's Association was formed, it started in Lexington, actually, and Frank Fiscal was mayor, and Frank was the first chairman of that. So it started back in the 80s, and then we've progressed, and now we're at the point where now we're really starting to work together, and I think these other mayors will tell you, we're working together instead of just exchanging information, ways that we can help each community out a little bit. So when we approached this, we sent out surveys to all the communities involved, except Bloomington Normal. We sent all this survey out, and then we had 9 responses that were basically shovel-ready projects to go. And then we've said meetings. We had I think meeting every Wednesday for 2 months, trying to iron all this out and work it out. So there's been a lot of hard work gone in on our part, and I'm sure on your part. So, but any questions I can answer, I'll answer for Lexington, or I'll let everybody else answer for their communities. But it's a good group, I'll tell you that. It's a good, and I'm honored to be chairman of the.
Well, thank you. And thanks for your representation. It's always an honor to see you guys. Chad, would you like to come up and talk about Ellsworth, since we have an additional request there? Chad Walden is mayor of Ellsworth. Errol Smith, I say Ellsworth. That's the same. No, it's not.
That's right. We can see each other, right, Jim? Well, good afternoon, and thank you for this opportunity. Just a little bit about our project. Aerosmith's a very small community, about 300 people. And quite honestly, our water tower, which was built in 1954, along with our water system, is in need of stripping down to the bare metal. We do have lead paint. We just found out on the outside of that tower. And while the quality of the structure is very good, the coatings are failing, both the inside and the outside. The village over the last 10 years has put a plan in place for savings, and we have recently replaced our pump house and all of our controls within our pump house, as well as added some water main, and kind of really updated things. But honestly, that's about what we can do. The tower cost us $360,000, and for a town of 300 people, it's hard to save that kind of money. We put $50,000 in the tower about 10 years ago because we had some structure work that needed to be done. And we were able to even pay cash for that. So we don't have any bonds, we don't have any loans at this point in time, trying to keep from going down that path with our water tower, and that's where we're at on this. It's just it's a lot of our infrastructures are about the same age, put in back in the 50s. And maintenance is just get to the point when you have to pay prevailing wage. And when you're looking at the environment today, where contractors, I think I believe over the last year, those costs have gone up almost $75,000 for my project that I put in, that we were looking at just 2 years ago. So it just quickly gets way out of hand for what a community of a lot of our sizes can handle on our own, and we have increased water rates twice over the last 3 years to try to also, put some savings back to these projects, but they're just very large and very hard to handle. So that's kind of where our project is at. Does anyone have any questions? All right, thank you very much for your time. Yes, ma'am. So
I'm sorry, you'll have to kind of educate me a little bit. Thank
Okay.
you. So when we refurbish a tower like this, what timeline are we looking at? Like, how long will this project last as far as before we start to look at redoing it again?
our engineer is telling us right now this would extend the life of our tower by 50 years.
Okay, that's what I need.
So this, for Aerosmith, they would be removing it all the way down to the bare metal on the outside and on the inside. There's a special coating on the inside of our tank that was put in the 80s, and that's now deteriorated to the point where it needs to be replaced as well. They're telling us 50 to 75 if it's maintained. Even then you get 75 if it's been like 40, 50 years, if it's touched up and stuff. He told us that really because the thickness of the steel in our tower built in the 50s is even better than what they use today. And because of that, it's so structurally sound that as long as the coatings are maintained, it really has an indefinite lifespan.
So this will preserve the tower, like the life of the tower, but also I would assume the quality of the water.
Yes, because if the interior coatings start to fail, we start to see problems like rust and scale within our water that starts to have problems with when we start to see that getting thinner on the inside, and that's where we're at. We're starting to see it wear down. Because in a tower like we have, it's a standpipe. It's not a tower like you see here in town. And so believe it or not, in the winter, there's a cap that freezes ice and it slides up and down inside that. And that wears on that coating over the years, and that's what has happened. It's wearing the coating off of the inside of the tower.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Is Mr. Mayor Bain here? from Ellsworth? Just thinking of Ellsworth. How about Mayor Cisco from Danvers? Oh, okay. How about Village of Hudson? Village of Hudson, why don't you come up?
Hello, everyone. I'm Dave Brutlog. I'm the mayor of Hudson. I've been mayor for about a year and a half now. And we just redid our water tower in 2017. So our tower is in good shape and it should be good for another 30 to 40 years. We do have some other issues with drainage in Hudson, and we had some issues with water leaks. We used our first round of funds from ARPA for purchasing a vac truck and a jetter truck, which we used to help find water leaks. We used them to help clear out some of our tiles that were blocked, and we are working very diligently to try and fix some of the drainage issues we have in Hudson. Again, our tower's in good shape, and we don't have the same problems as some of the other towns do, but we would love to fix our drainage issues and get help keep our basements dry in Hudson. So that's what our request is for. So, thank you.
Let's see, who do we have here? Kathy Weber from Cooksville. Mayor Weber.
Good evening. I'm Kathy Weber, and I've been the mayor of Cooksville since about 2017. Our water issue is a broken tile that's been repaired 3 times by our local people that work for my water department. They're actually volunteers. They don't make but $10 an hour, so you know that's not even minimum wage, but they are the whisk millers, so they work pretty cheap. We're gonna replace that water line. It's my community. They're gonna replace that water line. It goes out to several residences, but it's about 1,000 feet. It's gonna be about $65,000. We've already had the engineering report on that. The problem is it lies right on 165, and if you know about our community, it goes right through our community. But every utility runs along that roadway. So anyone who bids that roadway also has to bid not cutting fiber optics, not cutting phone lines, not cutting any utility that's already on that line. So that is our major, it's a major cost. We couldn't undertake it without the help from you, so we appreciate you considering it. I will say about this group, they're a very modest group of mayors. I will brag on several of them. They have made those purchases of big equipment with their ARPA money and/or their own local money. And now we are working on intergovernmental agreements between our towns to share those resources. And I think that in and of itself is a huge revenue that we did not even think about having it. So Dave's thing that cleans out the tiles, we may need to, I can't even think of the name of it, but we may be able to share that. I know Downs has a bucket truck, and we have been sharing that bucket truck between the different communities. So we are truly working to weld McLean County back together, even though we all will fight on a basketball court, okay? Thank you.
Thanks, Kathy. Is Jeremiah here? Houston? Carlock? It's Rhonda
Oh.
Bear. Sorry, Rhonda.
Good evening. My name is Rhonda Bear. I am the current Village of Carlock Mayor. I was elected in the last election, 2021, but before that, for about a year and a half, I was appointed to replace Jeremiah when he resigned. The project that we're looking at is we need another well. We have one good well that we rely on for almost everything. We have a second well that was dug in or drilled in 1960s. So it's pretty much lived its lifespan. It is increasing drawdown, meaning that when it takes longer for it to replenish. I'm not a well expert, but this is what they tell me. And we believe that the casing is probably deteriorating. So we know that that well is going to fail soon. And so we need a second well. Carlock has a history of horrible water. We've been told by the IEPA that we probably have the worst raw water in the state. We are a community of 600 people, so we have put a lot of money into our water infrastructure. Early 2000s, I can't remember the exact date, I think it's 2000 or 2002, something like that, we put up a new water tower. We are just about done paying that loan off. That will be in 2 more years. There's about $52,000 more left to pay on that. In 2014, we put in a brand new water plant to help us deal with the quality of water that we have. Arsenic is our main problem. We also have ammonia. Those 2 things together are even tougher to combat. The water plant that was built still had struggles treating that water. So I believe that water plant, when that came online in 2014, cost us about $1.5 million, but we've probably put in an additional, I haven't added it up. I should probably go back and do that, but I'm probably $200,000 to $300,000 or $400,000 more to get that plant working appropriately. I can pretty confidently say now that we are finally at that point. We have about $835,000 more dollars to pay on that loan. That will be finished in 2034. So the second well is an issue. Back in 2000, they did, they had the Illinois, University of Illinois Geological Survey come up and do a survey to have a well drawn. There are really no good options for wells within the city limits. The best option for wells for us are out about a mile to a mile and a half out of town, which is where our good well is now. So that will cost money, not just to drill the well, but also to lay raw water line. The anticipated cost is probably $600,000. And that is going to vary depending on how far away from the existing raw water line we are. We are in the process of getting test wells. We have 2 locations that are fairly close, that we're in the process of getting permission to do test wells, and then hopefully one of those will suffice and we can start drilling. So these funds would be huge for a town of 600, who already is got nearly $900,000 in loans that we're paying off. It would be huge. The $73,000 in ARPA funds that we have, we anticipate will maybe cover the engineering costs of the project. So that's where we are. And I thank you very much for the time and for the consideration of this. And this group is fantastic. I don't know what I would be doing, honestly, without this group. They have provided so much help and information and mentoring. It's much appreciated.
Thanks, Rhonda. Larry Dodge from Colfax is here.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Mayor of Colfax, Larry Dodds. I've been mayor since 2019. We recently, in October of 2020, received a report from the Farnsworth Group concerning our water and drainage for the village. And even though it might sound odd that some of these small towns have flooding problems, believe me, we do. It's just the way you're situated or the way the water flows through the town. We have fields up north of our town that drain right in through the city, and we have a ditch that goes down through that we've used some of our funds for dredging, and it has seemed to help the situation. So we're going to continue that work, and that's what our ARPA funds will go for. But it will help us a great deal if you approve such the funding that we've requested. We have this project's, we have already had our wells inspected, wells 3 and 4. 1 has been decommissioned and 2 was inspected more recently before I started. The big project we're going to undertake later this year would be cleaning our dualator, replacing the media, filtering media to it. It should have been done probably 5 years before this, but it's a costly project. It's going to cost $185,000 if they have to do everything that they say they're going to do. Hopefully, the bottom of the dualator will not require replacement, and that would save us about $42,000 if that's the case. But then the other thing that they need to do is inspect, clean, and paint the interior and exterior of the water tower at an estimated cost of $325,000. As you've heard some others talk about a water tower. Ours is a tower like most that you're familiar with. So we're scheduled to have that inspected in the near future. I have a board meeting tonight, as a matter of fact, and that's on the agenda to get that at least inspected for about $3,000, both interior and exterior. But little towns like Colfax and Carlock and some of the others that have already talked, we don't have a great resource for accumulating funds. We have 1 gas station in Colfax. We have a Dollar General. We have 3 restaurants, but they're just not a lot of tax-raising funds happening for little towns. And so this would help us a great deal. We were going to have to issue bonds if we were going to undertake these projects. And this is one of our goals as a city council, is to address our water situation, try to improve the quality of water. That's probably one of the things we hear most, that would like this to improve the quality of the water. So we're gonna do our best. Thank you very much for
Thanks, Larry.
considering our request.
Thank you. Speaking of water towers, is Mary Eustace here from Saybrook? A little segue for you, sir.
Arthritis in the knee doesn't help.
Take your time.
My name's Danny Eustace, been the mayor of Saybrook for about 6 years. And been working on trying to get financing for a water tower since 2018 or 19. And we went to the Illinois EPA and we're still on the bottom of their list. It's starting out, we've got the engineering plans done the first year to present to the Illinois EPA, so that part's done. That was about $100,000 to get the engineering stuff done. Our tower's been leaking for the last 2 years pretty bad. We spent probably $25,000 patching it, trying to hold it together till we can get financing to get a new water tower. Starting out, the engineers was saying it's gonna cost us $1,500,000. Well, now they're telling us it's closer to 2 million with the price of the steel going up and everything else, but anything will help. And taking a regular loan, I don't know if we'd be able to pay it back anytime in our lifetime. We've got 670 people, the population of Saybrook. We've got one Casey store. The bar closed, the restaurant's closed, so we don't, basically, Casey's the only thing we got for a tax income. So any help you folks can help. Any questions?
Is that tower leaking in the bottom?
Yeah, yes.
That's what I thought, yeah. Is it serviceable at all, or are you gonna have to replace the whole thing?
Have to replace the whole thing.
That's what I thought.
I want to put up one of those golf ball ones on the tee that join everybody else in the country. That's what everybody else has.
You got a golf course out there.
Yeah, we got a golf course. Yeah.
Okay, any questions? Anyone? Okay, thank you, sir. Is Todd Zaluka here? How about Mike James? Who am I missing? You got everybody? All right, thank you very much for coming. Any other questions or discussion? We still have a vote? Yeah, Member Solder.
Yeah, thank you. I think, we all realize, especially the property committee, how expense can kind of sneak up on you when talking about Kamlar Park and our septic issue out there. And the other thing is, I just want to mention that we're always talking about unfunded mandates. The villages have them just like the county board does. So again, anything we can do, I know they appreciate.
Anyone else? Member
Yeah,
Wentz?
is this money all coming out of that money that the federal government gave us, or is that?
Yes. Yeah, that's what it's from. Okay. Anyone else? All in favor then?
I do have
of the
one
proposal?
question.
Yes, Member Metzger.
After hearing and knowing the projects that are existing, I know one community that didn't present something, and I don't know if anybody recalls, but we were in Cropsey probably 3 or 4 years ago, and I don't see anything for them, and they have severe flooding problems too. And so I'm just wondering, and Ms. Taylor, you can tell me, is 5 million going to be sufficient? Or is that what we have available? That's probably 2 questions. It may not be sufficient, but is it what we have available? I don't know.
Well, let me answer part of that for Ms. Taylor. We tried to accommodate all the requests the best we could from the Rural Mayors Association as as you conducted your survey and packaged everything up and presented to us. We've had 2 additional ones since, and so Ms. Taylor basically tried to see how far we could go with a limit on this, and that's where the 5 million or up to 5 million was, because we have so many other things to accommodate and so many other asks in the county. I don't know anything about crop seed. Did you get any response from them at all? And the only other thing I would say in answer to that question, Ms. Metzger, is, as I recall, the flooding out there that would be a major federal type of improvement, type of a plan, because the flooding was replacing streets and a number of things, and I could be wrong on that. Anyway, do you have anything to add?
I would say that it's the recommendation of county administration that we have up to 5 million of ARPA funds to dedicate to this project. Currently, the requests, including Ellsworth and Danvers, comes to 4.8. So we do have some room for up to 5 million. However, I haven't seen any plans from any other communities. I wouldn't know what those totals would be.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? If not, I'll take a vote on this then. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. And opposed. Motion's carried. We'll pass this on to our full county board. And thank you very much. Don't you guys go back to the drawing board and come up with more asks. No. Okay, you're up.
Thank you. I have no other items to be presented for action, and I have no other items for the board this month. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you. Other business and communications, anyone have something? If not, I attended the 15th or so Economic Development Council Board meeting. If you don't know about that, it's a group of 25 to 30 people, usually people, leaders in the community, also board members. And as Ms. Taylor and I serve on the Wilmington Normal Economic Development Council Board, to go to Washington, D.C., and basically meet with Congress and other department representatives. And then we usually get together and pick out some projects. Over the years, the CEO, Director of Economic Development Council, has also allowed me to go off on some side projects from their agenda to work on mental health, and that's where we received the CIT grant and a number of other types of things, where we go to the Department of Bureau of Justice Assistance or the Bureau of Justice. This time I did not. I just went along to help support the projects, the 3 projects I handed out here, just so you could take a look at for a minute. One of them is the road extension, which would be the airport road, extended straight on through down to where FedEx is and where the warehouses are, to eliminate some of the road use and the traffic from major commercial vehicles, and hopefully to help encourage more expansion down there in that area. That's a $5 million project that was presented by Central Illinois Regional Airport and the directors. Another project, as you can, and there's a map there. Another project was Heartland Community College has raised money to work on their Manufacturing Academy Center. They want to retool a couple of the buildings, add more has to do with robotics and all the electrical vehicle type of systems and maintenance and so on. And they have raised some money. They needed $3.5 million more. So I went along with Keith Cornell, the president, and helped work with that project as well. And then the infrastructure upgrade of $220 million is the Bloomington Normal Water Reclamation District. Ms. Taylor took a tour this morning, went out there. That is an ask in which they presented to EPA as well. It was found, though, that that amount that they need would be less than half than that. Plus, it's a project that goes clear until 2035, and there's loan money from the government that can be taken advantage of there as well. Some things you might want to know. The new director of Benward also offered that there might be other things that they can provide, services provide. Is that correct? And if you'd like to speak about that for a minute.
Yes, I had a delightful experience actually this morning, even in the snow, viewing Benward and all that is involved with the treatment center there. The new director, Tim Irvin, is very much interested in collaborating with other municipalities and other units of government to use all of our resources to the best of our abilities. One of the things that he mentioned, just as an aside, as we were touring, is that he would welcome board members to come out and tour the property. He also offered their services for any needs, future needs that we would have with our lagoon at Kamlara, Lake Evergreen, if we needed someone to come out to give some recommendations on maintenance in the future. And he also pointed out that he had some other ideas for collaboration, so. Yes, he did also mention that there are some conversations about extending Benward to some of the smaller communities surrounding Bloomington Normal, and I'm not sure how far those plans have gotten, so I don't want to mention any villages by name, but he is looking to um, expanding their footprint as needed to ensure that businesses that are coming up around the edge of Normal, as well as subdivisions that are coming up, have the water and sewer addressed in a proper way before those things are built.
Also, to answer a question that you might have, we have not extended and they have not asked at this time for any ARP money from what we have left and will have left. And I think that amount is around 11 or 12 million that we're working with there, minus 5 million for rural water plan. And is that correct? For the second part of what we've got.
In anticipation of the second allotment, we have about 5 million left to work with.
Okay. Also, this year was a little different because they had State of the Union out there. They had a fence up around the Capitol. We weren't allowed to have our meetings in the Senate floor or Senate basement like we have in the past. We did then were able to get to the Department of Commerce. We were able to get to the Library of Congress, which was nice to be able to. They extended the use of buildings for that. So some congressmen actually got out, had to get over there. I know Rodney Davis had trouble getting out of the fence to find his way over there on time, and we were giving him a hard time about that. But we also met with FAA, obviously, with the project for the airport, and a couple other economic development agencies and a manufacturing academy representative while we were there. So we've had, over the years, been pretty successful with raising a lot of money for the community. I think people out there appreciate our show of collaboration between different agencies in the community. Hopefully next year, I don't know if I'll be here or not, if I'll still be on Economic Development Council board, but whoever is doing that, maybe we can get someone else to go along as we have in the past years and get another representative or two. So that's what we got accomplished, and hopefully we'll continue with this type of a program. Any questions about what we did? Okay, thanks. Anybody else have any other business? Mr. Sullivan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't want to put the administrator on the spot, so I'll ask this for maybe further information in the future. I was wondering where our former CDAP money that we ended up using for small business loans during the early parts of the COVID crisis. Mr. Hobart, I know the CDDC was, or the EDC was involved in that. I don't know if you have any of that information, on hand right now, but I would appreciate it maybe in the future if you don't have.
I do not have that at my fingertips. I know that it was a successful program. We do have some funds left available, and I believe Patrick Hoban is scheduled to come to the Finance Committee very soon to give an update and report on that. So that's a good segue to what is coming in the near future.
Those of you who've been around a long time know where that originated back in the late 1900s with the $5 million. 5 million, is that right? Oh, 500,000, a federal grant, and then finally we inherited that, and then we started to forgive some of the loans that we gave out during the COVID time. So we do have some left, and you can report on that. Thank you for asking. Good question. Anyone else have anything? I've got bills here to pay. We have our general fund bills in the amount of $906,580.61, which includes American Rescue Plan sales tax, and Veterans Administration. And we also have regional planning for $10,150.99. Is there a motion to approve? Motion by member Metzger, second by member Schaefer. Any comments, questions, or additions? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye. Opposed? The motion's carried. Thank you all for coming. I didn't see a transfer. Oh, in the back. I'm sorry. Yeah, we have a transfer of $2,443. IT transfers. And we do have to approve these transfers. Yes, we do. Separately. Okay, so I'm gonna have to take a motion to approve a transfer for computer hardware for $2,443. Is there a motion to approve? She said we can't do them both together.
Yeah, you just have to do them separate from the bills, excuse me.
Okay, the other one is some computer equipment in the amount of $1,515. We'll combine them. Is there a motion to approve? Motion by member Johnson. Is there a second by member Metzger? All in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Now we're done. Anything else? Okay, thanks. Thanks for coming.